Goodbye YouTube. Hopefully you guys are having a good day today. Now, as you can see from the team preview, we have an Ubers battle, and I'm using a new team I recently made, which is a Sandstorm Ubers team. And honestly, I really love this team, and it's a lot of fun to use. If you ask me, Sandstorm and Ubers is something that is very underrated, and I don't think I've actually ever seen anybody post an Ubers battle where they use Sandstorm. Now, as you can see from my opponent, he's using Hail, but really, the only two threats on his team are going to be the Kirim and the Abomasnow. So if I lose the Weather Ward, then that means Kirim can basically just blizzard my whole team to death, but hopefully that's not going to happen. And as you saw, 5-6 of his team is also weak to the stealth rocks, so my main priority going into this battle is going to be to get up the rocks, then later on deal with the Abomasnow and the Kirim accordingly. So I will be leading off with my Tyranitar, as my opponent will be leading off with his Ditto. Now, because it is the very first turn of the game and my Tyranitar does carry superpower, there's no reason for me to over predict, so I'm going to make the safe switch out into my Giratina, as he does opt to go for the superpower, which is great because the following turn I know he's going to be fearing the fact that I'm going to go for the Will-O-Wisp, so I know he's going to pull a switch out to his Ho-Oh, which means I'm going to pull my own double switch out to my Arceus Rock, as he does end up going out to the Ho-Oh. Now right here, I'm in a very good situation. Now I can either go straight for the Judgment, or I could go for the Will-O-Wisp. Now I thought he would be fearing the Judgment, seeing as I am a Rock Arceus, so I thought he would switch out, that way I could burn whatever he brings in, but no, that is not the case, and he does make a very good prediction and actually stays in, goes for the Sacred Fire. Above that, he ends up burning me, but with the following turn, I know he is going to be fearing the Judgment, so I'm going to go... So I'm going to go for the Will-O-Wisp again, as he opts to bring in the Ditto. Unfortunately, I do miss my Will-O-Wisp, which means I'm going to have to stay in and take a hit, but because Arceus can't do anything, but because Ditto can't do anything to my Arceus, I know I really have nothing to fear from it, so I'm able to hit my third Will-O-Wisp as the following turn. Because I am below half HP, I'm going to be forced to recover up. Now, Arceus being burned is a very bad thing, because Arceus was the main check that I had to deal with his Rayquaza, and at this point, my Arceus is basically no longer useful to me, so I'm hoping the Rayquaza won't be such a big problem, as he brings back in the Ho-Oh, and he actually ends up living the 4-time super effective Judgment. Above that, gets a crit with the Brave Bird, which obviously didn't matter, but it's whatever. So I'm just gonna leave in my Arceus basically for Death Fodder, just so I can see what this Abomasnow wants to do, just to see maybe if he's Scarf, but because I outsped him, he isn't. Then he ends up going for the Substitute, and he reveals to have the Giga Drain, so now I can freely bring in my Tyranitar, and here I have a choice between to either go for the Pursuit to OHKO the Abomasnow, or go for the Stealth Rocks, so I can get the extra damage on the rest of his team. Now obviously, because my game plan was to get up rocks, I'm going to get those up. Now the Abomasnow is not at low amount of HP to where he switches back into the rocks, he's going to faint, so he's actually going to be able to live. So I'm hoping that I might be able to get up a Lara Spikes with my Ferrothorn the following turn, as he's going to go with the Toxic on my Tyranitar with the Lugia, and I'm going to break the Multiscale with the Stone Edge as the following turn. The second Toxic is very obvious, just because he does want to get the extra residual damage on my Tyranitar. So I'm going to pull a switch out to my Ferrothorn, and I see this as a perfect opportune moment to actually go for the Spikes, but it was a bit risky, seeing as he could have switched out into his Abomasnow, but he doesn't allow me to get on my Spikes, which means I do win the Weather War, which automatically shows me or tells me that Kirim is no longer going to be such a big threat, but the number one threat now is going to be the Rayquaza, because I said my Arceus was the best thing I had to deal with it. As the following turn, I'm going to switch out to my Ho, thinking he would just want to go for the Spikes, because Leech Seed obviously doesn't affect my Ferrothorn, but no, he makes a very good play and actually goes for the Leech Seed, predicting me to switch out. And because I am Leech Seeded, I don't want to sub up and take the Leech Seed damage and the Sandstorm damage, so I'm actually going to pull a double switch out into my Excadrill, as he pulls his own switch out to the Lugia. Not entirely too sure why. I mean, I could have gone for the Sacred Fire, and if I had burned him, it would have really it really would have been bad for him, but I guess that was a better play on this part, as I'm just going to go for the Sword Dance, which was a bit risky, seeing as Lugia do tend to carry Whirlwind, but he ends up going for the Ice Beam, and because I'm a bulky variant, that's actually going to be doing nothing to me. As the following turn, I can either go for the Shadow Claw or go for the Sword Dance, and I guess he did predict me to go for a second Sword Dance, so he can get a free switch out to the Rayquaza. Unfortunately, that ends up biting him in the ass, because a +2 Shadow Claw does a great deal of damage to this Rayquaza. Now, the reason why I didn't go for the second Sword Dance was because Lugia obviously do tend to carry Whirlwind and Dragon Tail, so the safest play I could have done was gone for the Shadow Claw. As I'm going to switch out to my Tyranitar, seeing as a good majority of Rayquaza do tend to carry the overheat, so I managed to take that as the following turn. I know I will be able to take at least one outrage and be able to finish him off with the pursuit. If not, then the Sandstorm will be able to finish him off, so I'm actually able to live. Now at this point, I don't really have much use for my Tyranitar anymore. It's just basically Death Body because, as I said, I do end up winning the Weather War. And here I make a bit of a dumb play. I actually switched out to my Giratina thinking he would go for the superpower, completely forgetting about the fact that the Ditto was burned, so the Stealth Rocks was very obvious, so I could have stayed in, gone for the superpower, and actually OHKO'd the Ditto, but oh well, it's not that big of an issue in the long run of the battle. It really doesn't matter whatsoever, as I'm just going to stay in because I can freely Will-O-Wisp anything he wants to bring in because it did lose the Ho, and he does opt to bring in the Lugia, which means I'm able to burn that. So now that I do have the Will-O-Wisp off, that means the Lugia will no longer be able to get back up to multi-skill range. So I'm going to switch out to my Ferrothorn, just wanting to see what he wanted to do. I also thought he might want to go for the Toxic, but he does make the safer play and goes for the Roost, just wanting to have his Lugia for later on in the battle. As the following turn, I'm going to go for a Lara Spikes, when on hindsight, maybe I should have just gone for a Leech Seed. And look at that, one Lara Spikes, Stealth Rocks, and a turn to Sandstorm is going to bring this Kyurem about to 51% as the following turn. Because most white Kyurems do tend to be Scarfed or maybe Specs, I'm actually going to go for the Protect, and because he chose to lock himself into the Fusion Flare, I'm going to switch out to my Giratina. Now this was also risky because he could have been like the substitute variant with like the Expert Belt or something. Luckily that's not the case, and he does still go for the Fusion Flare, which does confirm my suspicions of him being choiced, as I'm just going to stay in, and I believe I do go for the Roar. Sorry, not entirely too sure why, as he's going to bring in the Ditto. And no, actually I do pull a double switch out into my Ferrothorn, and he ends up turning into my Giratina. Now here I was very scared because I thought he was going to rest up, but luckily because of the Sandstorm and the burn, he's actually going to end up fainting, which means at this point the battle is basically mine because he just has his Lugia and he just has his Kyurem, and after I go for the Protect the following turn, the Kyurem will die off, and this last is going to be the Lugia, so that's going to be the victory in my favor. Now, while this is going on, guys, I recently hit 2,000 subscribers about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I know that isn't a lot, but I want to thank all of you who actually have subscribed to me, for those of you who do enjoy my content, for those of you who leave comments. I hope you guys will continue to show me all the support that you have been doing, and just continue to like my videos, to comment. I don't know why you like my videos, but actually, I think why do you guys enjoy my videos? I mean, I'm not the best battler around, I'm not the best narrator around, so please leave a comment down below why you like my videos, guys. As I said, just keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for all the support, guys. I'm definitely not going to stop posting anytime soon, and with that, I'm just rambling, and I hope you guys did enjoy the video. So if you did, make sure to click the like button, to subscribe to see more content, and I do believe I am out of here, guys.